So, good morning. Why so less attendance? कहाँ गए सब लोग? आने वाला है कोई और कि बस इतनी है? आने वाला है? इस हुई सीआर कहाँ गए? Okay, so last time we have seen what are the early changes after death. In that we have seen changes in eyes, changes in skin, cooling of the body, right? PM levity. Now the another change is rigor mortis. In the PM levity, we are left with one thing, that is how to differentiate this PM levity from bruise. I have told you how to differentiate from bruise. Bruise is a type of injury, right? And another thing we will have to differentiate is differentiate this PM levity from congestion, right? So congestion, which is seen in internal organs like brain, lungs, liver, stomach, kidney, right? So whether that particular thing which you are observing is congestion or it is PM levity, so that we will have to differentiate. So what are the differentiating points, right? So the differentiating points are, in the PM levity, it is postmortem in appearance naturally, right? So congestion is antemortem in appearance. Postmortem levity, now you know it is due to stagnation of blood in the dependent parts, and later it will coagulate, right? And congestion is due to inflammation. Then redness is seen on the dependent part of viscera. Redness matlab another color may also be seen. So this is seen on the dependent part in PM levity, right? And if it is congestion, it is seen in whole of the viscera, right? Then mucous membrane, if it is congested, it will be looking somewhat normal, and if there is PM levity, it will be looking dull. Exudate, there will be no exudate if it is PM levity, and if it is inflammation, there will be presence of exudate, right? Then if you observe the hollow viscera and color changes in hollow viscera, and if you will have to differentiate, then you will be able to see the alternate bands of stained and unstained areas if you stretch that wall of that viscera, right? So if it happens, if it is seen like this, then it is due to PM levity. If you don't see alternate bands, then it is congestion, right? So these are differentiating features between PM levity and congestion. Why it is not changing? Change. Then another change is rigor mortis, right? Rigor mortis or death stiffening. So it is also called as shortening or stiffening of the body after death. Now you already know, immediately after death, the body will undergo into primary relaxation, right? After that, these changes, that is rigor mortis, will be seen in the muscles. Immediately after death, there will be primary relaxation of all the muscles. After 2-3 hours, rigor mortis will appear, right? So rigor mortis will appear when the molecular death has already occurred, right? After this rigor mortis, the muscles will again go into secondary relaxation phase. So that is when the changes of decomposition will start in the body, right? After say 18, 24 or 36 hours. So in the mechanism of development of rigor mortis, you already know what is the structure of muscle, right? So muscle is made up of different types of myofibrils, right? Myofibrils which consist of actin and myosin filament, right. Whenever there is contraction of muscle, this filament will approximate each other, right, and this is facilitated by an important energy molecule. What is the name of that molecule? ATP, right. So, in that ATP is converted into ADP, phosphate, and large amount of energy is liberated. So, the contraction is produced. So, this is called as dephosphorylation of ATP. So, due to dephosphorylation of ATP, large amount of energy is liberated, and this is used for contraction. Now, this ATP is synthesized during life. After death, this ATP will be stopped synthesizing, right. ATP will not be synthesized, and because of this, the muscles will, the actin and myosin filament will actually stay like that only. They will form a complex which is called as actomyosin complex, a pasty thing they will form, and this is what we say rigor mortis has developed, right. So, during rigor mortis, right. So, this is the slide. So, during rigor mortis, after death, when the ATP is depleted up to 85% of its normal level, right, then only this actomyosin complex is formed. Then you will say that rigor mortis has developed. But if this ATP level is reduced to 15%, then this ATP is reduced to 15%, then the rigor mortis will be at its maximum level. So, this can be a MCQ. When the rigor mortis will be at its maximum level, when the ATP is reduced to 15%, and when it will start appearing, when the rigor mortis will be reduced to 85% of its normal, right. So, this is how the body will look. It will look like stiff, right, and somewhat shortening will also be there due to development of rigor mortis. Now, this ATP synthesis during life is also dependent on the glycogen storage, which will also deplete after death, and that is why ATP formation will stop. Now, what is the time when the rigor mortis will develop? So, it will start appearing after 2 to 3 hours after death, right, and it will develop by 24 hours. It will last for another 12 hours or till the changes of decomposition set in the body, right, and you can say approximately it will follow rule of 12. Like in first 12 hours it will start rising, it will start developing, right. Then for next 12 hours it will remain stable, it will stay at that level which is maximum level of rigor mortis, and then it will start decreasing. So, they say roughly it will follow rule of 12, right. So, if rigor mortis is fully developed, you can say the time since death is within 24 hours, right, and if 24 hours has passed and rigor mortis has started disappearing, you can say it is less than 36 or 48 hours. So, like that you will be able to, or if the death is immediately, a body is brought immediately after death to you for examination and rigor mortis has not appeared, say after 5 hours, 4 hours the body is brought to you, right, then the rigor mortis will not be there in the body, right, when you try to demonstrate it. So, you can say the time since death is within 12 hours, right. So, it will follow rule of 12. Now, there are two rules which are there for studying this appearance of rigor mortis in the body. So, these are the names of some scientists, that is Nistens and Shapiro. So, Nistens rule says that the rigor mortis first appears in the involuntary muscles and later it will appear in the voluntary muscles. So, in the involuntary muscles they say it will appear in the heart first. After 1 hour after death it will appear in the heart, then it will start appearing in the involuntary muscles. And they say, the Nistin says, it will start appearing from top to bottom, right? So it will develop first in the eyelids, in the face, in the jaw, in the neck, right? Then chest, abdomen, upper limb, and lastly lower limb. So it will start appearing from above downwards, and it will disappear in the same order, right? So this is Niston's rule. And Shapiro's, what he has suggested is, Reiger affects all the muscles simultaneously, जैसे involuntary, voluntary सारे muscles, large, small, every muscle is affected simultaneously. At the same time, every muscle is affected. But this rigor mortis is detected in smaller muscles first. ठीक है? तो rigor mortis सारों muscles में एक साथ डेवलप होता है, ऐसा शेपिरो बोलता है. निस्टन क्या बोलता था? टॉप टू बॉटम डेवलप होना शुरू होता है. ठीक है? So it starts appearing from eyelid, your face, then jaw, like that, neck, and it follows that order. शेपिरो ने बोला है कि it will appear in all muscles simultaneously. ठीक है? फेस के भी मसल्स में, नेक के भी मसल्स में, लेग के भी मसल्स में, it will develop at the same time. But it will be detected in smaller muscles first. Now this is again somewhat contradictory, which is not seen when you examine the body, right? So what he says, it will develop in all muscles simultaneously, but it will be demonstrated in smaller muscles first, Shapiro says. तो अगर राइगर मोटिस आपके मतलब जैसे आईज में यू विल स्टार्ट, it will start first. Eyes में if there is rigor mortis, TM joint में if there is rigor mortis, neck में if there is rigor mortis, right? Then it will be demonstrated first in smaller muscles, जैसे कि eyelids में. Eyelids में it will be appearing first. Jaw में it will be appearing first, right? Means you will be able to demonstrate it first. हालांकि दूसरे muscles में जैसे कि upper limb और lower limb में it will appear at the same time, but it will not be demonstrable at that time, right? So you will be able to demonstrate first in the smaller muscles. लेकिन क्या होता है, upper limbs के सारे joints, bigger joints, they will become stiff due to rigor mortis. But when you try to see the rigor mortis in the fingers, it will not be appeared. It will not be seen there, right? But this Shapiro says it will be demonstrated first in the smaller muscles. So again, this is somewhat contradictory to what he says. Then when you plot a graph of development of rigor mortis with time on x-axis and rigor mortis on y-axis, then you will get this type of curve. So all these are mixed curves. So this curve is typically for demonstration of rigor mortis. So in first 12 hours it will start rising, then another 12 hours it will remain static to its maximum level, and next 12 hours, that is from 24 to 36 hours, it will start decreasing. So this is how the graph will be looking like. Then what are the effects of rigor on the body? So body will be looking stiff and fixed whenever rigor appears in the body. Hair will stand out with pimpling, or it will give goose skin appearance. This is also called as cutis anserina, right? And this type of picture is also seen in drowning. ड्राउनिंग हम लोग जब पढ़ेंगे तब ड्राउनिंग में भी आपको क्यूटिस एंसिरिना का अपीयरेंस दिखेगा. दिस इज ड्यू टू डेवलपमेंट ऑफ राइगर मोटिस इन द स्मॉलर मसल्स ऑफ द स्किन. कौन सी मसल है स्किन में? स्किन में कौन सी मसल होती है? इरेक्टर. अरे जोर से बोलो ना. इरेक्टर पाइलोरी की पिला है? Erector pillae muscle. So this muscle, when rigor develops, such type of appearance will be there in the skin. So that is called as cutis anserina. Then the testes, due to rigor, the testes will be drawn up. They will look like as if they are lymph nodes, right? So this is as if they are lymph nodes, जैसे कि bubonic tuberculosis वगैरह में देखते हैं, right? That is nodular tuberculosis. So it will look like buboes. Then semen will be forced out, uterus will contract, and if fetus is there in the uterus, it will be expelled out after death due to rigor mortis, right? Heart will be completely empty, it will force all the blood out, right? And heart will appear as if it is hypertrophied, right? So it is due to hypertrophy of the heart, but we will have to differentiate whether it is hypertrophied heart or it is due to rigor mortis. Then how to test for the rigor? So you will try to lift the eyelid like this. You will try to depress the jaw. You will try to flex each and every joint. You will try to bend the neck. So when it appears stiff, you will say कि rigor mortis has developed. So this is the typical appearance in the skin. It is also called as cutis anserina, which is there due to development of rigor mortis in the skin muscles, that is erector pili. Okay. Then passing of rigors, I have already told you, it will pass off in the same order in which it develops. Say it develops from top to bottom, and it will pass off from in the same order, that is from bottom to up, and lastly it will disappear from the eyes and jaw, right? First it will start disappearing from the lower limbs. Then breaking of rigor. So this is possible. They say whenever the body appears stiff, the rigor can be broken. How it will be broken? It can be broken manually when you try to stretch the joint, right? You actually try to break the rigor. Then also this stiffness will go away. So this is called as rigor is broken. Or due to excessive handling of the body, this rigor may go off, which will definitely hamper your calculation of time since death, right? क्योंकि अब मान लो 6, 7, 8 घंटे 10 घंटे हो गए, 12 घंटे हो गए, rigor fully developed है, and due to excessive handling it has gone. So after 14 hours you are examining body and there is no rigor. Naturally you will say it is less than 12 hours, but it will be within 24 hours because rigor has disappeared due to excessive handling, or maybe it has been broken. Then what are the factors which influence the rigor mortis? Now this is important. Age is important factor which influence rigor mortis, and they say this rigor mortis will not develop in fetus less than 7 months of age because there are no glycogen storage, no glycogen synthesis in the fetus less than 7 months. तो अगर 7 months के नीचे का अगर कोई fetus है तो उसमें rigor mortis develop नहीं होगा. This can be your good MCQ, right? Then in children and old person it will be feeble, means it will not be that stiff, right? And it will develop rapidly. Then another factor which influence development of rigor is the nature of death. Nature of death means what is the cause of death. So onset will be earlier and duration will be short in deaths which are there due to wasting diseases and exhaustion, death due to in cases of convulsions, tetanus, strychnine, poisoning, heat stroke. So in all these cases the onset will be earlier and it will stay for a shorter duration of time. Then deaths associated with paralysis, hemorrhage, asphyxia, in such cases onset of rigor mortis will be late and it will persist for longer time. Then muscular state in healthy muscles which are healthy, and if body is at rest at the time of death, then in that condition the onset of rigor will be slow and it will persist for longer time. Then atmospheric condition, onset will be slow and duration will be long if you are examining body in the cold season or death in the cold weather. Now, there are certain conditions which will confuse you with rigor mortis, whether it is rigor mortis or this other condition. So, these are called as the conditions which are simulating means appear same as rigor mortis, right. So, there are 4-5 conditions which when developed you may say that this is rigor mortis, but it will not be rigor mortis, right. So, what are the conditions? Number 1 is heat stiffening, cold stiffening, then gas stiffening, then cadaveric spasm, then chemical stiffening or embalming. So, all these are conditions from which you will have to differentiate rigor mortis, right. So, the first condition is heat stiffening. Heat stiffening कब दिखेगा हमको? When the body is exposed to temperature more than 65 degrees centigrade, right. So, there will be stiffening and flexion of all muscles of all the limbs, and body will appear as if it will take a particular posture which is called as pugilistic attitude or boxer's posture, right. So, the lower limb will be flexed and upper limb will also be flexed. So, this is called as pugilistic attitude or pugilistic posture. Remember, this particular pugilistic posture does not have any medical significance. It will not indicate whether it is antemortem or postmortem death, right. So, it is just due to stiffening due to exposure to heat, and this is the cause is due to denaturation and coagulation of proteins in the body. Antemortem or postmortem, in both it will develop. So, you will not be able to differentiate whether it is antemortem or postmortem, right. And this particular stiffening cannot be broken like rigor mortis, okay? And it will remain in the muscle till the changes of decomposition will set in the body, right. So, when the body is exposed to temperature more than 65 degrees centigrade, so there are conditions like if death is due to burning, if body is burnt after death, after killing, immersion in hot water, or if there is death due to high tension electrocution. So, in all these conditions, when the body is exposed to temperature more than 65 degrees centigrade, this heat stiffening will develop. Then cold stiffening is another condition which will mimic rigor mortis, right. So, this is seen when body is exposed to freezing temperature, say less than 3 degree, 2 degree centigrade, right. Or so, in this cold stiffening, there is solidification of fat and freezing of all the body fluids. So, सारे जम जाएंगे ठंड की वजह से, right, actually जम जाएंगे, right. So, this will lead to formation of cold stiffening. So, when you try to break this forcibly, this cold stiffening, you will hear crackling of ice. So, particular sound as if the ice is breaking, crackling of ice will occur, and if you warm this particular body, all this cold stiffening will disappear. So, this is how you will differentiate whether it is cold stiffening or rigor mortis, right. So, when warmth is given to the body, when body is warmed, this cold stiffening will disappear. Then gas stiffening. So, when the gases of decomposition will accumulate in the tissue spaces or in cavities of the body, this will give a stiff bloated appearance to the body, right. And there will be of course foul smell, discoloration, you will see, we will see later, right. And on pressing, when you try to press that particular area which appears swollen, stiff, so you will hear a particular crackling type of sound which indicates that there is presence of some gas underneath, ठीक है, जैसे कि अंदर कोई गैस हो, ये आपको फीलिंग आएगा. So that is feeling of crepitations. And if you incise that particular area, the swelling will disappear because gas will release out and swelling will disappear. Then embalming is another condition which is also called as chemical stiffening. So this chemical stiffening also mimics राइगर मोर्टिस. आपको इसमें हिस्ट्री पता होना चाहिए कि बॉडी इज एम्बाल्म्ड, राइट. Then this is important condition which will mimic rigor mortis is cadaveric spasm. It is also called as instantaneous rigor or cataleptic rigidity. So these are conditions, these are names which are synonymous, right. So this is actually rare condition. Cadaveric spasm is rare condition, and it will develop in a particular group of muscles, not whole of the body. So it will develop in those group of muscles which were in contracted stage before death, right, or at the time of death. ठीक है. And after death, without passing into the stage of primary relaxation. So you already know that immediately after death, there will be primary relaxation in all the muscles. But when there is development of cadaveric spasm, the muscles of particular group will directly go into rigidity, spasm. So this is called as cadaveric spasm without undergoing into the stage of primary relaxation. So primary relaxation is absent, right. So this is called as cadaveric spasm. Now there are certain preconditions which are required for development of this cadaveric spasm. ठीक है. So what are the conditions? There should be, this generally develops in cases of sudden death, right, when the death is due to sudden excitement, sudden fear, severe pain, cerebral hemorrhage, firearm injury, convulsant poisoning or drowning. So these are certain cases, certain conditions when there is sudden death and the person is under lot of emotional state and lot of excitement at the time of death. So here the body will develop, or certain groups of muscles will directly go into spasm, rigidity, bypassing the stage of primary relaxation. Right. So there should be excessive or extensive physical and emotional activity at the time of death, and it will develop in certain group of muscles which are in contraction phase at the time of death, right, and it passes without interruption into normal rigor mortis. ठीक है. So after 3-4 hours, 5-6 hours, 10 hours, when rigor mortis develop, so this cadaveric rigidity will merge with that rigor mortis, right. Then what is the mechanism of this cadaveric spasm or instantaneous rigor? So they say mechanism is not known. rigor mortis का mechanism पता है ना, depletion of ATPs बताया था, ठीक है, but here the mechanism is not known. Then breaking of rigor mortis was possible, but breaking of this cadaveric spasm is not possible, it is impossible, right. Then time required for development of rigor mortis, I have told you, it will appear in first 12 hours. ठीक है. First 3-4 hours it will not be there, and it will have appeared at about 10 to 12 hours. ठीक है. And it will persist for next 12 hours. Here the time required for development of cadaveric spasm is immediately after death. ठीक है. Immediately after death, as the muscles are not going into primary relaxation phase. Then what are the effects of cadaveric spasm? So इसके effects क्या होंगे? In cases of suicide, if someone is killing himself or herself, then you may get the weapon which will be grasped in the hands of the victim, right. If someone has drowned suddenly पानी में गिर गया, तो क्या करेगा, खुद को बचाने की कोशिश करेगा, तो उसमें lot of excitement and emotion will be there. Certain group of muscle like this, like hand, will be in stage of working stage, excitement, right. So here when the death occurs, you will find the muscles of this hand will go in cadaveric spasm. So without going into stage of primary relaxation, they will directly appear as if they are rigid, spasm, will be there. And if you look at this hand, in some cases of drowning, you will get there is presence of grass or gravel. Whatever comes to his hand, he will try to grasp that to save his life, to come above water and breathe, right? So lot of excitement, a lot of stress is there at the time of death. So this group of muscles will go in spasm. ठीक है? Similarly in suicide cases also. वो बोलते ना, क्या बोलते हैं, डूबने वाले को तिनके का सहारा. So you will try to grasp something, and in that attempt he may grasp some grass or some gravel in his hand, right? Similarly in cases of homicide, homicide में क्या होगा, whenever the person tries to save himself or tries to get away that particular culprit, then in that attempt he will try to grasp the clothes or anything whatever comes in his hand of the person who is actually killing. ठीक है? But he will be in lots of emotional stress, lot of excitement will be there. So if he is killed immediately, then you may get in that condition also some of the fibers, some of the hairs of the assailant in the hands of that particular person who is killed. So what does this indicate? ये क्या indicate करता है? Cadaveric spasm. It will indicate, you can say, manner of death. Manner of death कैसे? जैसे कि एक्सीडेंटल डेथ है ड्राउनिंग में. ड्राउनिंग में एक्सीडेंटल डेथ है तो आपको क्या मिलेगा उसमें, हाथ में, मुट्ठी में, ग्रास, ग्रेवल, वॉट एवर इज देयर इन द वाटर, इन द वाटर बॉडी, राइट. सुसाइडल केस है तो आपको क्या मिलेगा हाथ में, द वेपन विथ विच ही हैज किल्ड हिमसेल्फ, ब्लेड हो या फायर आर्म हो, जो भी वेपन हो, राइट. और एक्सीडेंटल में हो गया. होमिसाइडल में आपको क्या मिलेगा, उसके हाथ में, मुट्ठी में क्या मिलेगा, फाइबर्स, द असैलेंट के हेयर्स, असैलेंट के कपड़े के फाइबर्स, ये आपको मिल सकते हैं, राइट. सो व्हाट इज दिस, दिस विल इंडिकेट द मैनर ऑफ डेथ. सुसाइडल है, होमिसाइडल है कि एक्सीडेंटल है. सो दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ कैडावरिक स्पाज्म. नाउ मेडिको लीगल इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ cadaveric spasm is, it will indicate manner of death. Identification of accused is possible in some cases. Why? क्योंकि according to principle of exchange, that is Locard's principle of exchange, ठीक है, whenever two things will come in contact with each other, there will be exchange of materials between the two things. इसके हाथ में क्या मिलेगा आपको, उसका बटन मिलेगा, उसका बाल मिलेगा, ठीक है, जो भी आएगा ये उसमें मिलेगा. तो from DNA you will be able to identify the assailant in homicidal cases. Now medico-legal importance of rigor mortis. So rigor mortis is a sign of death. You will be able to get to calculate the time since death, ठीक है, and also you will be able to know whether the body is shifted before death or after death, before development of rigor mortis. ठीक है, क्योंकि जिस पोजीशन में बॉडी होगी उसी पोजीशन में rigor mortis डेवलप होगा. ठीक है, तो इफ द बॉडी इज शिफ्टेड बिफोर डेवलपमेंट ऑफ राइगर मोर्टिस, इट विल नॉट गिव आइडिया इन विच पोजिशन द बॉडी वॉज लाइंग. इफ द बॉडी इज सिटिंग, द राइगर मोर्टिस विल डेवलप इन दैट पोजिशन ओनली. इफ द पर्सन इज सिटिंग लाइक दिस, द राइगर मोर्टिस विल डेवलप इन दैट पोजिशन ओनली. ठीक है, सो दिस इज कैडावरिक स्पाज्म, है ना. एक्चुअली इसमें इतनी टाइट ग्रास्प नहीं है. So this is somewhat loose grasp, but it is cadaveric spasm. This is also cadaveric spasm when a weapon is seen held in the fingers, grasped in the fingers, in the fist. Then these are the differentiating features between rigor mortis and cadaveric spasm. Rigor mortis development you already know. Cadaveric spasm it cannot be produced by any method after death, but rigor mortis, it is also cannot be produced, right. But freezing and exposure to temperature above 65 will produce rigor. This is wrong. Will produce the condition which are mimicking rigor, right. But cadaveric spasm ऐसे condition से भी आप produce नहीं कर सकते हो. ठीक है. So that is the meaning of that differentiating feature. Then mechanism of rigor mortis you know, and mechanism of cadaver spasm, mechanism of development of cadaver spasm is not known. Predisposing factor for rigor mortis is, there are no predisposing factors because it is general phenomena, it is change after death, right. But in cadaver spasm, the death should be sudden death, and there should be lot of excitement, fear, nervous tension at the time of death, right. Time of onset, this will take, rigor mortis will take 2-3 hours for development, and cadaver spasm will appear immediately after death. Muscles involved, all the muscles will be involved in in rigor mortis, and only a particular group of muscle will be involved in cadaveric spasm. Muscle stiffening will not be that marked, and you will be able to break the rigor, but muscle stiffening will be marked, and lot of force is required to break the cadaveric spasm, or it is impossible to break the cadaveric spasm. Molecular death, if there is development of rigor mortis, means molecular death has occurred, and if you give any stimulus to muscles, to skeletal muscles at this stage after development of rigor mortis, they will not, no response will be seen, right. So molecular death will not be will not have occurred if the body has developed cadaveric spasm. Body will be warm if there is cadaveric spasm, body will be cold if there is rigor mortis. Yes, electrical stimuli, if you already, I already told, if you give electrical stimuli, the muscles will respond in cadaveric spasm, and they will not respond in rigor mortis, because all the anaerobic processes have also stopped. Then medical legal importance, rigor mortis will indicate, what it indicate? Time since death. And cadaveric spasm क्या indicate करता है? Cadaveric spasm, manner of death, right? Manner of death, not mode of death. So it will indicate manner of death, whether it is suicidal, homicidal, or accidental. So after this, first there will be primary relaxation, then there will be rigor mortis, then there will be secondary relaxation. Now this secondary relaxation will be there when the changes of decomposition will set in the body. So this is after autolysis, autodigestion of myosin, the muscles will again be relaxed. Okay. So these are all changes or early changes after death. So now we have finished with all the early changes after death. So rigor mortis is important change, post-mortem levity is important early change after death. Now what are the late changes after death? So these are signs of death or late changes after death. So these will manifest after 24 to 36 hours or 24 hours. Late changes will appear in the body, late changes after death. So depending on the environment, there will be putrefaction, or this is a form of decomposition, or there can be other modified forms of decomposition like adipose formation and mummification. So this will depend on the environmental condition in which body is present, right. Then coming to the definition of decomposition, it is also called as putrefaction, right. So definition is, it is due to autolysis, okay? Due to autolysis, action of enzymes released by bacteria causing softening and liquefaction of dead body due to conversion of organic matter into simple inorganic elements. So this is the definition of decomposition. Now what is the mechanism of decomposition? Autolysis. Autolysis, the word itself indicates, auto means self, lysis means breakdown. So all the enzymes of the body will break down the body tissues by different processes like proteolysis, glycolysis, lipolysis. So body itself will break down its own tissues. with the help of these enzymes. So, this is called as autolysis. Then another mechanism is bacterial enzymes, right. So, aerobic and anaerobic bacteria will be there, which will help in decomposition. So, these are also called as destructive bacteria, and most important bacteria which help in decomposition process is Clostridium welchi, right. Clostridium welchi, you already know the name, ठीक है, पता है ना नाम bacteria का. So, Clostridia welchi, and another bacteria which is important is Clostridium perfringens. Clostridium perfringens. Of course, other bacteria are also there like Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, Proteus, E. coli, right. So, all these bacteria will proliferate because the protective agencies of the body are absent after death. So, bacteria will spread through the blood vessels using the proteins and carbohydrates in the blood as culture media. जो कल्चर मीडिया हम ब्लड अगर ये सब यूज़ करते हैं ना बाहर बैक्टीरिया ग्रो करने के लिए, तो ऑलरेडी द ब्लड वेसल्स विल एक्ट एज अ कल्चर मीडिया. सो डिफरेंट प्रोटीन्स एंड कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स इन द बॉडी विल एक्ट एज कल्चर मीडिया फॉर द स्प्रेड ऑफ दिस बैक्टीरिया. Then another mechanism is by fungi and insects. So, these fungi, certain fungi and insects like maggots, so all this will also help in decomposition. Now, what are the signs or features of decomposition? So, signs are color changes in the tissues. So, this is one, changes in the color of tissues. Number 2 is formation of foul smelling gases. Foul smelling gases in the tissues and cavities, then appearance of maggots and liquefaction of all the tissues. So, these are the, you can say, signs or features or stages of decomposition. So, in color changes, the hemoglobin which is present in the blood vessels in the RBCs will diffuse through the tissues, through the blood vessels to the surrounding tissues and will stain those tissues. So, it will appear at the surface also, and these derivatives of hemoglobin which are formed are greenish in color or greenish black in color. So, this hemoglobin will react with H2S, the gas which is formed in decomposition, right, and this will lead to formation of sulfamide hemoglobin. So, this sulfamide hemoglobin is having somewhat greenish color. So, this color will appear on the surface of the body. So, this is first seen in the cecum. Cecum में ये पहले आपको change दिखेगा. So, it will result from by the reaction of hemoglobin with the H2S gas due to formation of sulfamide hemoglobin. So, it will diffuse outside blood vessels on the surface. ठीक है. So, surface में आपको greenish discoloration नजर आएगा. So, this is the first change of decomposition which will appear on the surface is development of greenish color in the right iliac fossa, जिसके नीचे क्या होगा, cecum. ठीक है. Now, this greenish discoloration will spread to whole of the body. ठीक है, to the entire body it will, the greenish discoloration will spread. ये किसकी वजह से greenish discoloration? sulfamide hemoglobin, right. Then putrefactive bacteria will colonize the venous system. They will start multiplying. Colonies will develop. They will spread through the venous system, through the blood vessels, and superficial veins will also be stained greenish brown, right, greenish brown. This is due to hemolysis of red cells and again formation of this sulfamide hemoglobin, right. So, these will stain walls of the vessel, which will again infiltrate into tissues and will appear in the form of branching pattern on the surface of the body. ठीक है. So surface of the body पे आपको linear branching pattern दिखेगा. So this is called as marbling. ठीक है, इसको बोलते हैं marbling. And this marbling will appear after 36 to 48 hours after death. ठीक है. At the same time, there will be reddish brown discoloration of viscera starting from liver. Again, this is due to changes of decomposition due to this particular gases of decomposition, right? So this is how the marbling will look like. So in the form of branching pattern from the vessels, the product of hemoglobin will diffuse on the surface. जैसे कि ऐसे ही सरफेस में तो डिफ्यूज हो गए, एंड इफ दे अपीयर इन द ब्रांचिंग पैटर्न इट इज कॉल्ड एज मार्बलिंग. सो दीज आर कलर चेंजेस. ठीक है, ये नॉर्मली सभी ऑर्गन में आपको दिखेंगे. सरफेस पे दे विल अपीयर एज मार्बलिंग एंड दे विल अपीयर एज ग्रीनिश डिस्कलरेशन फ्रॉम द राइट इलियक फोसा, राइट, एंड दिस इज द फर्स्ट चेंज of decomposition, greenish discoloration in the right iliac fossa, and gradually the entire body will be taking that particular color. Then formation of foul smelling gases. So lot of gases are formed when the body is in the process of decomposition. These are called as gases of decomposition, right? इसी की वजह से क्या होता है, गैस स्टिफनिंग होता है. तो यही है जो मैं बोल रहा था, दिस इज द कंडीशन विच विल मिमिक राइगर मोर्टिस. लेकिन आपको देखने से पता चल जाएगा कि ये राइगर मोर्टिस नहीं है, लेकिन आप इसको राइगर मोर्टिस बोल सकते हो. दिस इज गैस स्टिफनिंग, राइट. देन फॉर्मेशन ऑफ फाउल स्मेलिंग गैसेस. सो दीज गैसेस आर देयर विच विल बी फॉर्म्ड व्हेन द बॉडी इज इन स्टेज ऑफ डिकम्पोजिशन. कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड, hydrogen sulfide, methane, mercaptans. So all these gases will be formed when and these are foul smelling gases, very foul smelling gases, right. So these will collect in the stomach also in 12 to 18 hours. They will cause distension of abdomen. All the viscera, in all the viscera, the gases will be formed, right, and distension of abdomen will be there in about 18 to 36 hours. Then as all these gases will accumulate in the abdomen, they will push the diaphragm up. Diaphragm को एकदम ऊपर ढकेल देंगे, right. So they will compress the heart, lungs, and blood stained froth will be exudating from the mouth and nose. Mouth और nose में से blood stained froth निकलना शुरू हो जाएगा. So this is called as postmortem purge. Postmortem purge, and if the person don't know this is change of decomposition, he may say that there is some assault. These are some antemortem injuries. That's why blood is coming out from the mouth and nose, right. So this is artifact due to decomposition. This is called as postmortem purge. Then gas bubbles will accumulate in the tissues, in the cavities, in hollow viscera, right, and whole body will give whole body a bloated appearance, bloated, swollen, distorted appearance to the body. This will take around 36 to 48 hours. So 36 से 48 घंटे में पूरी बॉडी swollen, distorted हो जाएगी, right, due to accumulation of gases. Yes, and there will be formation of false rigidity. Gases की वजह से false rigidity will be there, and after gases accumulate हो जाएंगे, फिर क्या होगा, the abdomen will burst and all the gases will be released out to the environment. Then there will be gas formation in the blood vessels. ये हमने देखा already, right, and there will be these gases will be accumulating in the layers between epidermis and dermis, and this will give to the formation of small blisters on the surface of the skin, right, and the epidermis will start slipping out. So it will be start removing, and this is called as skin slippage, deglowing. So all this can be seen. So epidermis will be loosened and it will start it will get removed from the underlying skin, right. So this is called as skin slippage. Then if there are any injuries on the body, जैसे कि मान लो superficial laceration है या कोई stab है, so these injuries will start bleeding, इनमें से blood निकलना शुरू हो जाएगा. Actually blood stained fluid जैसे कि पोस्टमार्टम पर्ज में दिखता है, वही सेम फ्लूइड विल ooze out from these injuries. ठीक है. So this is also a postmortem artifact, right. So this is how the body will look like: bloated, swollen, distorted, very difficult to identify all the facial features or very difficult to identify body as such. ठीक है. So greenish discoloration आपको दिख ही रहा है, which has spread to all the body and it is has appeared stiffened. This skin slippage, what I have told you, the gases will accumulate between dermis and epidermis. ठीक है. तो इसकी वजह से the skin will getting removed. तो इसमें क्या दिख रहा है आपको, क्या क्या दिख रहा है? Discoloration of the surface, body is swollen, bloated, right, and इसमें face, eyelids, nose, lips, scrotum, penis, everything is swollen. Eyes are bulged out. Tongue is swollen and protruded. Tongue is swollen and protruded. This is also same. So these are late changes of decomposition. ठीक है. So these are putrefaction or late changes after death. Putrefaction और decomposition. ठीक है. यहाँ पे क्या दिख रहा है आपको? ये हम फोटोग्राफ रखेंगे आपके स्पॉटिंग में. So this is abdomen is distended, right? There is blister formation. These are postmortem blisters, right? Protrusion from orifices will be seen. The internal viscera will be protruded out from the natural orifices due to accumulation of gases in the cavities. This is again the decomposition or putrefaction. Again you can see the marbling, right. Then scalp hairs. Scalp hairs are loose, they can be easily removed. This is again decomposition. So what these gases will do, as I have told you, they will push all the viscera out from the natural orifices. So it will lead to prolapse of rectum or uterus, ये बाहर निकल आएगा. So this is will occur in 48 to 72 hours. If the lady is pregnant, then post-mortem delivery of fetus will occur, because fetus will also be pushed out of the body due to these gases of decomposition. Then hair will lose, जैसे कि हमने एक body में देखा. After hair, the nails will start losing. Hair you can remove like this. ऐसे आप निकालोगे तो hair आपके हाथ में आ जाएंगे. Nails can be removed like this. Nails will be easily pluckable, and teeth will also become loose. ठीक है. They will also be easily removable. So hair, nail and teeth. So if the hairs are loose and easily removable, you can say the time since death is 3 days. If nails are easily pluckable, you are able to remove nails very easily, you can say time since death is within 5 days. If you are able to remove teeth also from the jaw very easily, then you can say the time since death is within 7 days or 7 to 10 days, right. So these are color changes and changes due to gases of decomposition. Then appearance of maggots will be there. So these are after death, the house fly, green bottle fly, blue bottle fly. So all these are attracted toward the dead body. and they will lay eggs in the wounds if they are there, or in the natural orifices, or the areas which are somewhat warm, जिसमें थोड़ी गर्माहट है एरियाज में, वहाँ पे वो अंडे देंगे. लाइक द फोल्ड्स ऑफ द स्किन, neck, axilla, inguinal region, right? So in 2 to 3 days these eggs will be converted to larva or maggots. ठीक है, so larva or maggots we have already seen, I suppose you have seen in the photographs, right? In 4 to 5 days these maggots will be converted to pupae. In 5 to 7 days this pupae will be converted into adult fly. So adult flies will be coming out of the body if the time since death is within 10 to 12 hours. So आपको मक्खियाँ बॉडी के अंदर जा रही है, बॉडी के अंदर से निकल रही है, ये पिक्चर दिखेगा अगर टाइम सिंस डेथ इज विदिन 10 to 12 days after death, right? So this is study of all these insects in relation to the death, or in postmortem, during postmortem examination. This is called as forensic entomology. So beetles, maggots are important. Beetles are seen after the maggots will go. So these are another type of insect which will help in decomposition. So beetles will be seen after 10 days, right? You can collect these flies, maggots, right, and send them for chemical analysis. So these are directly collected into formalin or 100% alcohol, and you can send them to the forensic science laboratory. So from that you will be able to get the time since death by observing the cycle and different stages of these maggots, of these flies. And if there is case of poisoning, you may also get poison in the maggots if death is due to poisoning, because these maggots will eat all the body, right? So in that way it will help in so they are scavengers actually, right? So they will remove the decomposed structures, and if they consume poison in that process, this poison can be detected in those maggots also, right, if the death is due to poisoning. But what is important is the external features of injuries. If injuries, if they are there, they will be preserved for a longer time, right? So these are maggots, ठीक है, natural orifices and injuries, but injuries will be preserved. So I will stop here, ठीक है, and next time we will continue.